Hello, PSA winner, coach training, review recap 2022. Welcome, coaches. What you're about to participate is a series of very short videos to recap some of the things that we studied and learned in the fall. So, one of the first units that we studied during transition camp was mentoring relationships and mentoring skills and relationship skills. We're going to give a credit to the M2 mentoring program training manual from the campus mental health in Queens University. We have adapted it to meet the needs of our program with their permission. All right, so PSA coaches, what we are looking to have you offer and what you have offered for this past whole 2021 and what we look forward to having you offer in 2022 is you've offered a personal connection with your mentees. You've been empathetic, you've actively listened, you've validated the things that your mentees were going through. You learned to accept them without judgment, to avoid assumptions, which was huge, to encourage healthy lifestyles through the wellness surveys, to model effective strategies for studying and learning, and just having positive self-talk and above everything for the students not to lose hope and to continue to be motivated to succeed in school. So the overarching goals, that's just a reminder of sometimes we need to go back and center ourselves into why we do what we do and what the goal is, what our end vision is. And for us, of course, our end vision is to see every student that is mentored make it to the end of freshman year and have remained in a healthy state of mind, have learned new skills and strategies to do well in their classes and in their relationships, and have attained and had experience using resources on campus so that they can stay connected and so that they can feel like they are a part of the campus and that they are more equipped to do the things that would help them to be successful, happy and healthy while they're here. So in short, some of the things we talked about before is we want them to experience a sense of connection, support, empathy, develop those strategies so that they can manage their academics and not have another person have to do that for them. Also the same thing with their health, mental health and physical health, and to provide them the validation and unconditional acceptance they can receive, not from someone that they feel is kind of distant and older, so much older than them, but someone who is very close to the stage they're in. And that's why you serve such an important role, because it may have only been a year or two since you were in the same place that they are in. And so you know what it's like to walk in some of the footsteps that they may be trying to walk in. So the focus for today is to remember that you go along for the journey, but you do not drive their car. And that's where we have to remember it's just a brief part of their journey. They have a long road ahead of them, and they have had a full life prior to coming to college, and now that should be negated. And so during this time, you're just supporting, validating, and showing empathy and compassion in your relationship with your student. And once again, you're helping them develop skills and strategies. You are not becoming a one-stop shop for all of their needs to be met. You are not the phone friend. And we're going to get into a little bit what that looks like. We've talked about what you are. And we're going to really focus in on what you are not. And that'll be the bulk of this video. All right, so your student or your mentee should have a whole support network. You are part of the network. You are not the network. You are a resource. You are not the source. And hopefully, honestly, that takes a lot of weight off of you, takes a lot of pressure off of you, and it frees you to be consistent and creative with the resources you're provided with and really clear about your expectations, right? So here are some things in that support system that all students will need. They will need the role you serve. They will need a coach. And in this model, it's labeled a peer mentor, but they're going to need someone who is empathetic, someone who can show them strategies that are practical, stuff that they can actually do, that they have the capacity to do, resources that are available to them specifically, and how to get to those resources and what to do with them, and someone to refer them to other. For example, maybe they need to go to the counseling center and they're afraid to go, but giving them direction as to here's the number you call, or here's a location on campus. Or instead of one of our coach meetings that we do once a week, maybe I could walk you over there. We could go together. Something like that. Some of the roles that they will have in their life that we really want to refer them to and get accustomed to utilizing are their advisors, regardless of what program they're in and what college. I was going to say college of education, whichever of the colleges that they are taking classes in or their majors associated with, there's someone, even as they come in, that just advises them. They need to be talking to their advisor, but then they also need to get to know the advisors and the programs they're looking to participate in and hopefully graduate from. They need to get connected with other professionals who are experts in their area. So whether that be counseling or therapy, health support, learning strategies, the Office of Accommodations and Supports, academic advising, that type of thing needs to be done by a professional, okay? At no time are you to be the counselor, the therapist, are you to try to serve as like a sub psychologist or anything like that. We're not asking you to be the other parts of the support network. We're asking you to refer your mentee to those parts. And even when it comes to, they have professors, they have tutors, we want them to build relationships with their professors. We want them to go to office hours. We want to encourage that. We want them to have such good relationships with their professors that their professors could write them letters of referral, or it's a professor that they want to continue taking classes with, or a professor who offers them clarity or support with even additional skills to help them be successful in other classes. We want them to get a relationship with a consistent tutor, not a one-hit wonder. So when they go in the Center for Academic Achievement, they know their tutor by name and they look forward to meeting with them weekly because that tutor is trained to help them in the area that they may be struggling with, whereas you are not. And it doesn't mean you're not a valuable resource in that area, but you don't want to take on the weight of trying to serve in too many roles and spread yourself too thin and lose focus of what your role is. Last but not least, in their support network, their family and their friends are going to provide, the fun, the humor, the whatever those relationships are like, the affection. And so we ask that you be very mindful that you do not cross boundaries in this area. So when it comes to, of course, physical touch, intimacy, things of that nature, do not participate in those activities with your mentee because you never know where they're coming from. You don't know what season of life they're in, and you don't know how they're receiving that. For some of them, you could be the first person who's paid that much attention to them, who checks on them every week, and they can blur that relationship to you being not just the person who is their coach, but they could blur those lines and think that, oh, this person really cares about me in a way I've never been cared for. And so it's up to you to make sure that they have a clear understanding and that you are there to coach and support them in their academics and in strategies to doing well in college, but you are not there and you cannot serve the role of a relative and you cannot serve the role as a friend because you have your own friends. And it doesn't mean you can't be friendly, but you shouldn't get calls at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Say, hey, what you doing? You shouldn't feel the need to respond to 50 text messages a day because they don't have anyone to talk to but you because you have become the friend or the only person they really know on campus. At no time should you be in their dorm room and they should not be in yours. Now, if you happen to meet up and see each other in the same place, of course, be kind and what have you, but clearly establish that there's a boundary between that relationship. And the less you cross it, the more consistent it can be where they know what to expect. So they know when to rely on the other resources in their network. So with that being said, this is about over. There's a couple pictures there. If we were together in person, we would do several activities. But for right now, I want you to look at those pictures. And some of those are do nots based on what we just went over. And some of those are things that is totally fine to do. So what you're going to do in response to this video is you are going to comment on a particular picture or summarize in general when it comes to building relationships with your mentees and your role as coach. I'm going to ask that you respond to what are some of the roles, what are some of the responsibilities that you realize you have as a coach? And then what are some of the areas that you know you need to set up boundaries or things that step outside of your relationship as a coach? And some of these pictures give you indications of things that should not be going on in your relationship with your mentee and things that are totally appropriate or maybe not. So that is the end of this. Once again, step one, you have watched the video. Please leave a comment, and your comment is related to in this video, how do you see your relationship as a PSA coach? And what are some of the things that you realize go outside that relationship that you need to be very mindful of in order to maintain a professional and consistent relationship with your mentee? As always, step two, as we just reviewed this information, please apply it. Please make sure that you've communicated to your mentee what you can do and what you can't do. That you've communicated to your mentee where to go and who to talk to when it crosses over into other areas that you cannot touch, and why you're doing that, so that they don't think that you just don't care, but they understand, oh, my coach is doing this because this is what all the coaches are asked to do, because the program wants me to gain strategies and skills so that I can be independent and not dependent on someone else. And step three, review and implement as needed. So maybe you did this before, and maybe it's a new year, you just need to review it with your student. You may realize that your student is becoming a little bit more dependent on you than they originally were because something may have happened in the previous semester, and now they're maybe nervous or anxious, and they need another level of support that they maybe initially didn't need. So review this and implement this as needed. All right, I look forward to seeing your comments as you complete this session and then move on to the next one. Thank you for your time.